Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another episode of Four Shoots and Giggles. We're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. I got a little bit of a younger guy compared to some of the others I've talked to. Tell us your name and how long you been doing this, buddy.
My name is Garion Tyr. I have been training since August 2018. I've been in the ring since June 2019, so just almost a year.
Well, why don't you give a little bit of background on yourself for us?
Well, wrestling's been a lifelong passion of mine. Ever since I remember the exact moment that I knew I was going to be a wrestling fan. It was an episode of Monday Night Raw, and it was The Undertaker versus The Godfather. And Godfather was trying to do his thing of giving away his hose. And The Undertaker came out and just magnetized to the screen. Everything about The Undertaker caught my attention. And from there, I was a lifelong fan. And there was more characters, obviously, that got me into it. And I was a big character guy, so I loved The Undertaker. I loved Mankind, Steve Austin, Kane. And so I was attached to it from there, and it's always been a passion of mine. It's something that I've always wanted to try, and have finally gotten the opportunity to do so in the last few years.
All right, so you kind of just covered my next question, too. You know, I was going to ask you, what made you want to wrestle? But what makes you, like, in general, not just the character-wise and all like that, and all like, what personally makes you want to be in that ring?
I like the artistic expression of being able to tell a story. And there's something about professional wrestling that you can do that you can't do in any other format. You can't do a play and go onto stage and do the same thing that you can do in professional wrestling. You can't do it from a movie. You can't read a book. There's emotions that you can elicit from professional wrestling that you can't get from anywhere else. I love to tell a story, and the simple but pure art of going in there with two people, going in there and here's what I want to get across. Here's the emotions that I want to make people feel. There's something very special about that to me, and it gives me something to do that, to be able to, when you're aiming for a certain reaction and you get that reaction, it's better than any drug that you've ever taken. So it's.
Are you insinuating I take drugs?
I'm not mentioning anything about drugs and professional wrestlers or anything of that nature.
All right. Well, you said that you started basically roughly June of last year. Can you tell us about your first match? Not only the match itself, but the emotions, of when you first found out that you were going to be in your first match, and then going into the match and then afterwards.
So this is first match in front of a crowd?
Yes.
Yeah. So this was...
First actual professional match, not birthday show.
Yeah. This was SCW, and I was at the show. I went to a lot of shows where I wasn't booked, because you want to help out. You want to, hey, do you need a ring announcer? Do you need a referee? Do you need security? Need somebody to help clean up? Anything, especially in those first few years when you're that hungry, you're willing to do anything. So I was there to help out in any way I could. I had my gear though. You always have your gear. And it was a match. It was Matt Stone, and he was supposed to take on CJ Jenkins. And CJ Jenkins wasn't able to make it that night. So I had my opportunity. And I had my opportunity against one of the absolute best in Arkansas, Max Stone. To this day, I'll be forever grateful that I got to have him as a first opponent, because it was fantastic. I couldn't think of a better guy to have that against. Got kneed in the face real hard, and
Is that why you look like that?
I looked like this a long time ago. That's why I had to choose wrestling. But yeah. And that night, and it's so crazy. You have all of these thoughts of what your first night's going to be like and how people are going to react to you and what you're going to do. For me, I had all this stuff visualized, and I went out there and did something completely different. It just came out of me. It was what I had a very specific goal that I needed to accomplish. So when I went out there, and I did what I felt like I needed to do to get that goal, and that was to get people to hate me. And I seem to be pretty okay at accomplishing that. But yeah, it was one of the most nerve-wracking things that I've ever done that first night. But I got it behind me. It still seems like an okay match now that I watch it back. I could watch it without cringing too much, so I'm fairly okay with how it turned out.
All right. How about, I know, like I said, you haven't been doing it very long, but what has been your favorite match you have been in so far?
Oh, man. So I've got a couple. I've got like a top 4 or top 5 right now because these different matches did different things. I've been in a tag team for a while that has broken up, and we had a blow up to that match. It was myself versus the Storybook Prince Gaston, where we just went out there and hit each other with everything and the kitchen sink. I felt great about that match because it had some story beats in it that I haven't been able to put into other things. But my first match at ASWF was a one-on-one with Ray Ray. I'm very happy with that. All of my one-on-ones with Ray Ray are really good because we just hit each other as hard as humanly possible. I had a one-on-one with D-Mike, another fantastic... Because some of these other names...
That was your first main event, too.
That was my first main event. Some of these names are people you've been hearing about for a while. D-Mike is somebody that hasn't been around as long. Keep an eye out because if he, in Arkansas wrestling will know about D-Mike. He's going to be the next big thing. That was fantastic. And then in my tag team work, I have a really good match in AWO against Asa Morta and Cataclysm of the Manai when I was still teaming with Gaston that I'm pretty proud of. I make moves look really good. That's my thing.
Well, who would you say is your favorite person to be in the ring with?
Man, that's rough.
Right now, it's a loaded question.
Yeah, so. It really is. Right now, there's a handful of guys where it's just you're almost doing a dance now, and for me to be able to get to that point with certain people with this little experience, I feel like I have great synergy with a handful of people. I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one, but Ray Ray, Cataclysm, Gaston, Will Cage, D-Mike, all of those guys, it flows really well. Asa Morta, holy hell, hits like a freight train. But all of the people I've just named, and there's some that I haven't gotten to work with that I feel like I would be, that I think I would have great energy with.
Well,
those are some.
That's actually a good thing there. I mean, being that you haven't been doing this very long, who's somebody on the Arkansas scene, or even in general that you would love to step in the ring with? Someone that feasibly that you would be able to get in the ring with.
I haven't gotten to have my one-on-one really, because we've been in some tag matches. We've done a couple of one-on-ones, but they've been in other places. I want to do a one-on-one with Cataclysm at ASWF at some point. If the stars align, I would love to step into the ring in a one-on-one environment with Josh Cross. There are some others, but those are the two that rise right at the top of my mind of people I haven't gotten to really do that dance with just yet, or at least do something big.
Now, this isn't just based off of ASWF. This is just Arkansas wrestling in general. Right. So I just want to make sure I point that out. But, all right. Well, I know you have it. Like, again, we keep going back to this. You haven't had a whole lot of experience at all. But out of the special type matches and all, what would you say is your favorite type of match that you've been in? Like type of match outside of a regular singles or tag?
Triple threats are great because the kind of wrestler I am, I can hit somebody once and roll out of the ring and take like a 5-minute breather and just scream at people the whole time. So those are fantastic. But matches where there's lots of opportunity to not only hit some awesome looking moves and everything, but to get those emotions out of people. So I like stuff like I said, I hadn't gotten to do a whole lot of different match types, but stuff where you can play to the crowd a little bit more or involve them in a little bit more. Not too long ago, I was in it was something along the lines of a no disqualification match, but there were items hanging on the ring right above each of the posts, and so you'd pull them down and you'd tease what's in them. And I love stuff like that. Just the more ways you can involve the crowd to get them wanting to know what's going to happen next. That's good stuff for me.
Well, what would you say, as of right now, has been the biggest moment of your career so far?
Winning the tag team belts was a big deal. But that came so early, so at that point I hadn't really gotten to be able to fully understand it. Something that is just kind of the gravity of it has just kind of come down on me a little bit lately. I recently got to do a one-on-one match with Reggie Montgomery, and I don't know that's. Because it wasn't, we didn't go down there and try to tear the house down. We went in there and did what we needed to do, and I don't know, just to be in the ring with that much experience and that much knowledge, and to be trusted with that, that meant the world to me, and I'm hoping that the people that place that trust into me, that I don't let them down.
Well, now this is kind of a two-part deal. Who would you say has been the biggest influences on your career? We'll start with like big star wise. Like what stars has influenced your character, your career?
Like I said, the first guy that made an impression on me was The Undertaker, but there wasn't, in terms of what he was doing and what I'm doing, there wasn't a whole lot that I could necessarily. It was more about like work ethic and staying in character, those sort of things that I took away from him, not necessarily things from his character. Things that I saw that I felt like I could use were things that were guys closer to my size. Your Kurt Angles, your Chris Jerichos, and then so yeah, I would say especially like that era of Kurt Angle where he had the mouth guarded and he's using rear naked chokes, like that ECW era of Kurt Angle, that however brief that was, of just an animal that can break you down in any way, shape, or form. But that was, to me, that was the great thing about Kurt Angle, was that he could flip that switch of being an animal that's going to break your ankles and then being able to flip that switch and make you laugh. Which, I think it's important for everybody to have that versatility, and I think having that versatility would be important for me. But yeah, in terms of the influence that people have had in my career, I look at Kurt Angle, I look at William Regal, who, people love William Regal for his wrestling ability, but I think he's extremely underrated in his facial expressions. He does as much work with his face that he does with his body. So William Regal is another big one up there for me.
Okay, well, what about local guys?
Local guys, there's such a wealth of knowledge around here, and I would definitely argue that you could learn more from being able to talk to these people than watching big stars on television. You watch a guy like, I went to my first ASWF show just a little bit before I started training. And I'll tell you, somebody that I didn't know about, because there were a handful of people I knew about before I went to the show, but there were a lot of people that I was seeing for the first time. The Suicide King Ray Ray stuck out to me as an act that just, you want to see him. You want to see what he's going to do next. If he's out there pissing you off, you want to see somebody go in there and kick his ass. But if he's out there being awesome and you look at him, he's awesome. He's got the cross painted on his face upside down. He's cool. So that you look at that character, you look at him, and you go, okay. So you want to be something like him, where no matter what you're doing, people want to see what you're doing. And in terms of doing the little things in the ring, you look at a guy like Cataclysm. Doing the little things in the ring, making those little changes for what the story needs. That's an ability. Again, I feel like that's a little bit underrated, especially in like today's wrestling climate, to do those little story things or the little physical things that not a lot of people would notice. But if you're really paying attention, it really rewards you. So those are the two guys at the local level that I've been trying to soak up all of their knowledge and use it against them.
Alright. You kind of touched on this earlier, but not to the extent of what I want to know. What motivates you to continue doing this?
And I think everybody that does it at a independent level, there's that little bit of rivalry that you've got when different things are going on, where you have people that tell you that you can't hit that level. So, being able to prove certain people that don't believe you, being able to prove them wrong is always a great thing. But this is my release. This is, like a lot of guys at my level, I work a 9 to 5. So this is my release. This is getting out the aggression, and this is my artistic expression. This is, all the stuff that you go throughout the week, you try to turn it into something beautiful and something that other people can relate to.
Well, I heard some interesting ones from some of the other people I've talked to, which, by the time of this recording, I don't know, exactly how many I've uploaded so far compared to who I've interviewed. So I don't know if this worked, but either way, can you give me your favorite road story?
Yes, I can. All right. So this is early into. I haven't started wrestling yet. I'm still a referee at this point, and I'm refereeing for Living Faith Wrestling, and I am refereeing for a match where. Oh, this is like inside stuff. I don't know if I can tell this story. I'm talking. This is the knee thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, well, let's see it. Let's go with it.
And I'll try to think of something else if we don't want to use this. Okay, so I'm a referee. This is early into me even refereeing at Living Faith Wrestling, and in this match are involved a couple of tag teams, and amongst them are the likes of the Suicide King Ray Ray and Cataclysm. So. Early in the match, I get some word from Cataclysm that my knee's messed up. Please tell everybody to stay off my knee. So I make the rounds because I think there are 4 teams in this match. So I make the rounds.
I know which one. It was 3 teams.
3 teams.
It was Marcus Black and El Ray, Cataclysm and Ace Amorta, and then Ray Ray and Josh Cross.
That's right. And so I make the rounds, tell everybody stay off his knee, and
it was the Vincent boys, not El Ray and Marcus Black.
Yeah, that was my fault. One. So yeah, so I make the rounds, tell everybody to stay off of Cataclysm's knee. Unbeknownst to me, this old boy is getting worked. I make the rounds and tell everybody to stay off his knee. Ray Ray and Josh Cross, who are not exactly light hands to begin with, go to just viciously working on Cataclysm's knee. Just ripping at the pads and stuff, punching away, stomping away, wrenching at it. And I go, stay off his knee, stay off his knee. I make the rounds again. I'm screaming at people. I'm sure everyone could hear me outside of the ring. And they're just as vicious as you could possibly be on somebody's knee. And I Cataclysm gives me like, tell him to stay off my knee. And Cataclysm can be frightening. He really can be. So I tell everybody, stay off his knee. He's gonna die. And they don't. They wreck his knee. So after the match, he is carried out. And I'm thinking about, like, where do I need to run away to? What can I do with my life now? And so I go in the back, and Cataclysm's hobbling around, and Ray Ray comes up to me and goes, how's it feel to be work, kid? And slaps me on the chest. And I see Cataclysm dancing in the background on his totally fine knee. So, yeah, that's the wrestling business for you. When they love you, they really like to mess with you.
Oh, Lord. I'm probably going to keep that in just because it's very, very funny. All right. This is going to get into, a little bit more serious to an extent. What are your thoughts? Because I asked this a little differently than what I asked some of the veterans. What are your thoughts on wrestling today versus more of the old school wrestling?
I think, and this is a lot of the other mediums, I think there are lessons that you can take from, back in the day. You can go all the way back to the 20s, and there's still valuable things that we can incorporate into wrestling today. It's a mixed bag, because there's lots of things, like, I feel like finishes have kind of died. In the modern times, there's not a lot of moves anymore that convincingly put a person down with one. And then I feel like escalation has gotten to be maybe a little bit of a problem with wrestling, where, these two dudes are having their very first match, and they're doing late kickouts, and they're doing 35-minute matches with multiple finished kickouts and everything. And it's like, okay, that's awesome, but where do you go from here? How in the world can you build on that? So I don't think that necessarily you should have the mindset of, we'll go in here and give them 50% of what we can do. But I think there's more that you can do than just, big move, kick out, big move, kick out. Now, there are some things that I like about, new school versus old school, in terms of, like, I think there's, when it comes to, like, believability, even though, that's a fun word in the wrestling business, believability. But I don't know. I think a lot of times when it comes down to old school versus new school, that's a lot of times is what the argument is about. Is the finisher kickouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that is definitely in excess. But the crazy finisher kickouts have been a thing for like 20 years now, since Rock and Austin have been doing that. So, at this point, it's, I don't know, you figure out your crowd, figure out what they want, and then give your crowd what they want. That's ultimately where I arrive at with that old school versus new school argument.
Well, I really like that answer. I really do, because, I mean, you get a loaded deal on most people, and it is all about the crowd that you're in front of. It depends on what they like. What you do here may not work, like, say, in Indiana or something like that. So. Mm-hmm. All right, so you went through training. You've only been wrestling for less than a year. Other young wrestlers or people aspiring to get into wrestling, what advice would you give them?
I'd say you would definitely get in there, hit that mat first. Definitely before you start, talking about your gear, you start talking about your entrance music, start talking about your moves. Get in there, hit that ring. Find a good place to be at. Do your research. Because there's lots of people out there that are going to take your money and not give you anything in return. I got very lucky in finding the place that I did with the people that are in it. And then outside of that, be respectful. I think a lot of people that are getting into it, that part about it, though. this sounds like common sense, but honestly, you gotta work out. You gotta work out a little bit. You know, have a little bit of cardio. Even my ass sometimes doesn't do the cardio that needs to be done. But yeah, do a little bit of cardio. But yeah, those are the things. I definitely say, you know, though, show respect, especially when you're first getting in there and learning the ropes and learning how the business goes.
Well, Garion, I appreciate you talking with me tonight. Is there anything else you want to say before we go here?
Yes, I'm the best wrestler. You know, you don't have to watch these other interviews. I mean,
Hey, you're trying to kill my views here, man.
Oh, well, but this will be the best one. This is easily like 2 million views. Your page is skyrocketing. You're welcome.
The one with Ray that I uploaded did really good in the first. Like, I had 100 views in the first hour on it. So you gonna beat that? Probably not.
I'm gonna put that video on repeat here, and eventually.
Well, Gary, I appreciate sitting down with me. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, thank you for watching For Shoots and Giggles.